Well, the briefest way to summarize my story is that I grew up psychiatrized, is the term I use. I was an intense, bright, very sensitive.
And you grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut,
Oh,
with a
you
lot
have.
of resources, a family who could provide every, material need I had.
This is Laura Delano. And if, like me, you hear Delano and think, wait a second, yes, that Delano family. That background is actually very important to the context of this episode.
Just on paper, I had everything together. And student government president, well respected by my peers. But as a 13-year-old girl, I had this profound experience one night in front of the bathroom mirror as I was getting ready to go to bed, where I just started looking deeper and deeper into my eyes. And I ended up having this out-of-body experience where everything went black and I was just floating in space, looking at this stranger in front of me. And when I came back from this out-of-body experience, the only conclusion I could draw was that I didn't have a real self. I was just this robot programmed to perform. But at the time, I was terrified by what had happened, and I didn't tell anyone about it. I just tried to pretend it didn't happen. But I just fell apart inside and eventually began acting out at home, and I was yelling a lot and cursing, and I started pushing my mother and scaring my sisters.
So, long story short, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at the age of 14. And of course, the psychiatrist that she was seeing started her on medication. But she didn't really take her medications consistently or regularly.
And so by the time I got to Harvard, I was just hoping and praying that, maybe I'd gotten it all wrong. And once I actually get to a place like Harvard, I'll feel okay in my skin. I'll feel at peace. I'll feel happy even. And of course I didn't. And so I really rapidly spun out freshman year there. I was doing a ton of drugs like cocaine and alcohol and ecstasy, and I wasn't sleeping, and I was doing totally impulsive, reckless things. And so I really embraced this idea that I had this incurable brain disease. And from there was on 2 meds, and then 3 meds, and then 4 meds, and then 5 meds. With the more medications I took and the more diagnoses I accumulated, the more my life fell apart. And all along through my early mid-20s, we were thinking this was my illness getting worse.
And she hits a turning point when she comes across this controversial book.
And I was going to day treatment at McLean Hospital every day. It was basically my job. I'd go there in the morning, go to groups all day. It was my life, was treatment. I was in this place of questioning. And it was at that point that I stumbled upon a book by a medical journalist named Robert Whitaker called Anatomy of an Epidemic. And there I was on 5 medications, the previous decade of my life that I'd consistently been on them, just progressively worsening dysfunction, despair, inability to take care of myself. And it all clicked. And I said in that moment, oh my gosh, what if it's not treatment-resistant mental illness? What if it's the treatment?
As a result of reading this book, she decides that she wants to try to get off of her medications.
So in 2010, when I decided to come off, I had no roadmap. My doctors didn't support it. They had no idea how to do it. I had no idea how to do it. And so I came off 5 medications in about half a year. And it was, if I didn't have a family who could take care of me, I wouldn't have made it through.
Her story is her story. It's important. There are aspects to her story that should raise concerns about mental health care. And yet, we all have to remember that she comes from an extremely wealthy family. She even says herself, she would not have made it without the support of her family. She talks about this as if it was a full-time job. For most people, if you're taking psychiatric medications and you decide for whatever reason that you would like to try to come off of them and you would like to try to manage your mental health instead with lifestyle factors, with diet, with exercise, with community supports, maybe there's a spiritual element to it, whatever. Are you going to have the time, energy, and money to do that? I'm betting for the vast majority of people, the answer is no. Just picture it. You have to first figure out what the right diet is for you. There's still a lot of time and effort and money that goes into that. You've got to go to the store. You've got to prepare and cook the food. You have to stick with it consistently. Are you living on your own? Do you have a spouse? Do you have children? What other needs are there in the family that also have to be taken care of? What kind of exercise is going to benefit your mental health the most? Again, how are you going to figure that out? How are you going to take the time and the money to figure that out and stick with it? This is in the context of coming off of these medications, which can produce side effects. So you're trying to manage diet, exercise, maybe some sort of support groups, therapies, all while experiencing these symptoms. And if you're also trying to work and hold down a job at the same time, I hope you can see how this quickly becomes next to impossible for the vast majority of people. And to be fair, she herself does say several times in this episode that she comes from a wealthy family. She's obviously privileged. And yet, she is now running an organization that basically encourages people to taper off of their psychiatric medications. She has said that she's not anti-medication and that that's not necessarily the right choice for everybody. And yet that's basically like the main goal of this organization that she runs. I cannot emphasize enough the amount of support that would be needed, the amount of access that would be needed to try to take care of your mental health in this way. Is there any talk in this episode between her and Secretary Kennedy about how to improve access to those things for people? No, of course not. I can very easily imagine people watching this episode and thinking, yes, it was hard for her, but she did it. Maybe I can do it too, without fully grasping the amount of support that she had. It's a dangerous message, and it pisses me off.